Elliot here, Lazy Dogs Records. And Record Store Day, the first drop, happened a few weeks ago. And we've got one more coming up in about 9 days or so, I think. Not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, the 17th of July. I don't get up in the morning and go get in a line somewhere. First of all, any record store that participates is at least a 45-minute drive for me. So I'm not going to get up early in the morning and go stand in line somewhere for hours because I'm afraid somebody else is going to grab that record. If it's not still there, afterwards, it's okay. I don't live and die for it. But what I do occasionally do is pick up Record Store Day records after the fact. And I picked up 4 of the June Record Store Day releases, and I thought I would share those with you. But first of all, I always like to speak about what we're listening to. My first time hearing this was I got this with the Record Store Day records I got from the Record Crate. This was sealed, a new copy of Neil Young and Promise of the Real, The Visitor, and I have just now listening to it as I was preparing to put this video together. The first record I'll talk about is this one. Link Wray sings and plays guitar, and I knew what I was getting into when I got this. This is not what you expect from Link Wray. It's not that instrumental 1950s, early 60s guitar instrumental type music that he did with the Raymen. And it's not that kind of experimental stuff that he did. Experimental might not be the right word, but you know what I'm talking about. When he got into chicken coop at his house in Maryland in the early 70s and produced a couple of albums in that little studio he had in an old chicken coop. And it's not the rockabilly he did with Robert Gordon in the late 70s. It's real. You can really tell when this was made because now, Elvis has gone into the service and he's back out. So he's starting to make movies. You had your girl groups singing. And rock and roll was still trying to figure out exactly what it was. The Beatles hadn't quite yet. It's a 64 release, so I'm assuming it was probably recorded in 63, right before the Beatles hit. And so Ray is singing a lot on this. It's reminiscent of some of Elvis's singing. It's just not quite there. It's like, okay, Link is trying to figure out what do I do now? Yeah. And so this is like a post-Elvis, pre-Beatles, that little slither of time. And I'll keep this. I'll listen to it a few more times and maybe it'll grow on me more. But I really hope they'll do some reissues of those early 70s albums that Link did at his home studio. That would be great, and more in line with what I'm wanting to hear from Link Wray. So I'm not saying don't get this. I'm just saying just beware of what you're getting. But I want it anyway, if nothing else, for historical preservation purposes. Link Wray is the only rock and roller from my home county. He was born in Harnett County, North Carolina, and lived outside of Dunn in the eastern flat part of the county, eastern North Carolina. As a young teen, I believe, maybe 11 or 12 even years old, they moved up. The father got a job in the shipyards, building ships, I think, or something, around Baltimore. And they moved up, as a lot of people did, for looking for work, moved up into the Chesapeake Bay region to take factory jobs or jobs in the shipyards and things like that. So I'll have it because he is Harnett County's pride and joy. Was Holsapple and Stamey. Okay, and this is called Our Back Pages. And these gentlemen are this Pete Holsapple and Chris Stamey. They were members of the great pop rock band, the DBs. Both they met each other in elementary school in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and began playing together soon after. And this is reimagining the DBs songs that these two wrote as acoustic songs. And they do a really good job. It was actually recorded in 2008 and put on the shelf. And they decided to bring it back, bring it out for Record Store Day. Songs that they would do when they were playing solo or duo sets, live sets over the years after the DBs. And it consists of 11 songs, one of which is actually a DB's recording. The rest are just these two singing and playing along. It's not just them strumming, the guitar, strumming the chords on the guitar. There's a lot of variety and a lot of, depth to the actual music that they're playing. They don't just use guitars. They use a number of acoustic instruments they had laying around when they did these recordings. This one I highly recommend. Joni Mitchell. And this one, I'll make sure I get the title right. It's got kind of a long title. This is Archives Volume 1, the early years, 1963 to 1967 highlights. And there's a multi-volume set of this available too. So these are just selected cuts from that multi-volume set. And I highly recommend this too. It's funny that Adam at the Record Crate sent me an email and he said, "Was this one you were asking me about?" This was maybe a week after Record Store Day, and sent with a picture of that. I hadn't been asking him about it, but I immediately typed back. I sent him an email back. No, but go ahead and put it in the pile for me because he'll keep a pile of records for me over to the side, and I'll either drive into Raleigh eventually and pick them up from them, or I'll go. I'm not going to get in Raleigh anytime soon. Just stick them in the mail, and he only charges $5 to ship it, so he'll ship it to me. This is a really good album. It's from 1963. I've recently got the album of the audition tape that she did in 1963. An album of songs, none of which she wrote herself. But it's good to hear that, the lost tapes again. And then these are kind of lost tapes as well. One comes from that particular album in 63, from 63. But the others are live recordings at coffee houses or little clubs, people's houses, birthday parties. Somebody just tape recorded while she played at a birthday party or something. Very casual stuff. There's a demo or two in here. And so it's very interesting to see her progress from that 1963 sound when she was about 19 for the next 4 years or so and moving forward. And then she'll cut her first album in 1968. The highlight of Record Store Day Records, I believe, and I'll have to thank Miranda Holder for this, who recommended this to me. I knew nothing about this artist, and she shared that when she got it on Record Store Day, shared that and told me a little bit about it, piqued my interest, so I went ahead and got that. This is actually, I think, it's a Father's Day present. They said, order yourself something for Father's Day. And so I ordered this. And it's Bobo Jenkins, My All New Life Story. And he was a Detroit musician and had his own studio. These are recordings from his studio, and it's great. Just some really good blues, and he actually in the hype sticker they mention, you know, how do they say it? Wild electric guitar, wah wah bass, ringing phones and all. And literally, on one of the tracks, because this is his home studio, on one of the tracks, you hear the phone ringing during the track, and they don't stop or anything. They just keep going right on through it. So, Bobo Jenkins, I think that's the highlighted record store day for me. Two other records I got from Adam that came at the same time. John Fahey, I think this is his first album. This is a repress, of course, from '73. First came out in '68, I think. Volume 1, Blind Joe Death. And this is acoustic guitar, finger picking more or less, I think. Just listened to it for the first time. His album's kind of hard to find. It's on his own Tacoma label. And I've got several Tacoma label records, but I only have this from him, his Christmas album that I recently got, and one that has he and a couple of other artists on it. So I was very fortunate. You just don't see these too often. They're not extremely expensive or anything. I was just fortunate to come across this one that Adam had for sale, and I said, put that one in my pile. And finally, a dreaded digital recording, but they promoted it like this made it better. You know, people bemoan things that are mastered digitally, but you know, everything's got a little digital in it almost these days that comes out. Hank Mobley, straight, no filter, and it's got the hype tapes. Now this was 1986 release, recorded, you know, a couple of decades before that, but it sat in the vaults at Blue Note, and Blue Note brought this out in '86. And the way they promoted it was that you've got a gold sticker right here that says Blue Note, DMM, Direct Metal Mastering, originally remastered audiophile edition, premium quality vinyl. And you know, of course, a lot of people go, oh, don't want any digitals to be completely analog, which is very hard to get these days. But they were promoting it like that was the positive thing about it. And the other sticker says previously unissued recordings from the Blue Note Vault, direct metal mastering. They really promoting that direct metal mastering. Played this before I came down here for the first time, and it plays beautifully. And I can't tell whether they digitally did anything or it's all analog. No, it either sounds good or it doesn't sound good, right? That's my way of looking at it. Anyway, record store day, first drop in June. I got 4 records, and the next one's coming up on the 17th. I'm not getting up and driving to Raleigh to go to that thing, but I will check, and if anything's left over, there are 2 things I really would like to have, and that is the EP from the Backsliders, the alternative country band out of Raleigh. There's going to be, I think, 250 EPs pressed, and it's a regional release. So I'm thinking that Adam over at the Record Crate will hopefully get several, and they won't all get gone immediately. And if, in that case, after Record Store Day is officially concluded, I'll say, Adam, put the Backsliders in my pile. And the other is the Bobby Gentry jazz album. It's been in the vault. She recorded it just before she went to Muscle Shoals to do that album in Muscle Shoals, and she did not. It was never released by the record label, and so I want to get that. I'm not fretting about getting that day either, because it is not a limited or an exclusive. It is a first. First release will be on Record Store Day, but it'll be released after that as well. So if there's a run on them and I can't get it on records, day after record store day. I'll get it. I'll get it when they issue it again soon after, I'm hoping. I love Bobby Gentry. Okay, so that's a look at record store day for me. And I'll remind everybody, be kind to your neighbors, folks, because we're all neighbors.